tardes. Antes de empezar me gustaría hacer alguna pregunta para entender el nivel que tengo que explicar en la presentación. Primero de todo, ¿quién conoce el concepto de SSI, de Self-Sovereign Identity? ¿Sí? Ya lo he visto antes. ¿A quién le importa la privacidad, los datos privados que se difundan y que otras empresas... Vale, vamos bien. ¿Quién conoce Polygon, la blockchain de Polygon? Muy bien. ¿Y Polygon ID, el producto de Polygon sobre identidad digital? Vale. Pues me presento, soy Rosales, trabajo para Polygon ID, hago la parte de Marketing y Developer Experience. Yo vengo del mundo del sector del automóvil, estuve 7 años trabajando para Volkswagen en Alemania, 4 para Bentley en Inglaterra, y luego estuve en SEAT aquí en España. Y hace 6 años lo dejé para emprender. Y hace 2 años entré en Polygon, en la parte de Zero Knowledge, y ahora llevo la parte de marketing de identidad. Entonces, de lo que quiero hablar hoy es cómo podemos ayudar la parte de privacidad dentro del mundo de la movilidad. Entonces voy a estructurar la presentación en 3 partes. La primera, el problema, luego cómo podemos solucionarlos y luego un poco de brainstorming de use cases donde se podría intentar utilizar blockchain para solucionarlos. Vale, empezaré con un estudio que hizo la Mozilla Foundation. Sorry, it's in English. I switched. It's from the Mozilla Foundation, which is a foundation that deals with privacy. So they do studies about privacy. For example, applications that you have on your mobile, devices, anything that you, on your daily basis, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So they study what data is saved somewhere else, right? So they study on the automobile sector with 25 brands, and the results are scary. So it's the worst category they ever studied. So the cars collect too much data, they share your data, so 84% of the companies share the data, and the last thing is that you don't have rights to revoke that data is deleted. So, a summary of this study, I put here some of the data that's leaked. For example, your name, addresses, date of birth, financing information for your vehicle, iris, so you know WorldCoin, then a car is a joke compared to WorldCoin. If you're scared of WorldCoin, this is a lot of more data that's being breached. Sensor collected data, I think someone was mentioning that before in another presentation. Charging location, so when you have an electric car, you go to one location, then you could go to another one, they can track you around, so where you are charging, and so on and so forth. So how can we fix those privacy data breaches? So what I'm going to present today is Polygon ID, which is a solution based on blockchain to improve all these issues I have presented before. What's Polygon ID? Polygon ID is a digital identity solution. Solution meaning it's a technical stack. Okay, it's open source, so totally free, and you can use it with blockchain, based on the principles of self-sovereign identity, and leverages a technology called zero knowledge proofs, which is a cryptology, for privacy and blockchains to generate trust. So I will go into these concepts one by one, so to understand more the power of these solutions and how it can help the automobile sector. First of all, what's identity? Identity, it's always an identifier and some attributes. So Kai was mentioning before already this. So an identifier, we use a worldwide consortium standard, worldwide web consortium standard called the ID, the centralized identifier, and as an attribute, we use verifier credentials. What's self-sovereign identity? We were talking today a lot of the presentation about all the data that's involved in the whole car mobility sector. So there are 3 paradigms. The first one is identity models, decentralized. This is normally when you go to a server, you put your username and password, right? And there you have all the information. Then you go to another server, you go to another server, and each server has all the data. Right? This is the first model with your identity, username and password. The next level was when it came the whole logging with Google or logging with Facebook. Then this is called federated. So now there are less places where your data is stored. So the data is even more concentrated in some big players, right? So what SSI and the decentralized identity brings is now there is not data stored in many places, in few places. You are the owner of your data. That was what is called sovereign, self-sovereign. So rather than having the data in some honeypots where someone can breach, here I connected with the cybersecurity that Sandy was presented before, and so on. Now is everything more difficult to breach, because if someone wants to have an attack, they have to attack all of us rather than one single place. And for SSI, the technologies behind are blockchain, so, and cryptography we use. And in SSI, it defines 3 actors. The one who issues a credential, it could be a car. So an identity is not tied only to a person, it could be to a thing, to a car, to anything. A car could issue a credential to the driver that I'm driving safely. The car knows how I'm driving. So I am the holder of this data, a credential, which only I have, and I am the one deciding who I give this information to with privacy. So I can give this information to an insurance company, so I get a reduction on my insurance payment, right? So here you can see that there are a lot of possibilities to use this into the car sector. I will put some examples later. And then I was saying before, what we provide as Polygon ID, which is a set open source free software. We have SDKs, we have different infrastructure also that you can use as an issuer of information. You can use it to build wallets, identity wallets, or you can use it to verify information with privacy. What's zero-knowledge proofs? Well, also Kai was mentioning before the example of 16 years old. This is zero-knowledge proof allows someone to prove something to someone without revealing the information. So I can prove to you that I am over 18, or I work in the past in SEAT, without revealing that my identification number, my identification card, or I have to give you my certificate from SEAT. So with one proof, which is a code, you can verify that, and I don't have to reveal more information. It's like a yes or no answer. With that, we can keep higher privacy. And is user-centered. So it's the user who decides who I give this information to. So you control your privacy, basically. And blockchains to increase trust. So also here, Polygon ID can be used in several configurations, depending how much you want to use the blockchain. Because using blockchain, some of them, you need to pay transactions, this is expensive, so you can decide the level of use of the blockchain. So I have summarized this in 3 types of configuration, how you issue credentials. The first one is just using verifier credentials. Maybe in this configuration, you even don't have to use the blockchain, but it's also secure and trusted. And you can use zero-knowledge proofs. The second one is what we call MTP, so Merkle tree proofs. Here, the issuer of the credential, rather than storing all the credential in the blockchain, because storing data in blockchain is expensive, stores a footprint, like a hash, that makes that afterwards the holder and the verifier can check that everything is all right, simplifying a lot what happens behind the scenes. And the third scenario is everything happens on chain with smart contracts. Okay? And blockchain, what it allows is to create more trust, because nobody can obviously tamper the data in a blockchain. So just to finalize, I've prepared some, as a matter of brainstorming, some use cases, some potential use cases for privacy in the automobile sector. For example, local administrations, right? You have in Barcelona Bithing and a lot of things in mobility, and every time you have to log in or you have to give your data wherever. Here you could use this type of systems where you can say, okay, I have the right to use the bicycle, but I don't have to give you all my data or payment data, and I can reuse these credentials from the bicycle to the train to the sharing to the shared car or whatever. So I have one credential and I can reuse it in all the mobility services. Restrictions, I could build in a car restrictions that I can put a credential that if I'm not over 18, I cannot drive the car. Or maybe I can give rights to someone that he can only drive around Barcelona, but he cannot drive outside Barcelona. Anti-tracking. I was mentioning before with the charging stations that they keep the information. With Polygon ID, you can use a feature called profiles, where you can impersonate yourself every time that you have a contact with some verifier, with some application, with some service, right? So if I talk to you, I give you one identifier. If I talk to you, I give you another identifier, although I am the same and the system knows it. Insurance. I can prove, I was saying before, that I am a safe driver because the car gives me a credential. The data doesn't leave the car, so you are not exposing that data to other third parties and it will not be sold. Service. This happens also in the health sector, right? So you go to a workshop, they have your repair history, and you go to another workshop, they have your repair history, and another workshop, and every time you switch from workshop to workshop, what happens with your history, right? If you could have all this data in your wallet, in identity wallet, then you could be the owner of this data, and you are the one deciding every time that you go to a workshop who you give this information to, right? Car sharing. This is also a use case very interesting. Before we were saying about denial of service attacks. Maybe the service is not available. If the data or some information is in the blockchain, this is always available, right? Because there is redundancy. So there is a functionality we have, which is, imagine you have a car sharing company, and you are one of my customers, and then you don't pay. So I can revoke that you don't use any other car, right? Without having to call you. But even if my service is down, if I have this information on the blockchain, the revocation, I have revoked your rights, then you will never be able to drive a car, even if my system doesn't work. So it's more stable than a normal system. Finance, I can prove you this. Also, we do it in blockchain. You know, in blockchain, if you give your address to someone to prove you have some money, they can see your whole history. With zero knowledge proof, I can prove you I have, I don't know, 4 ETHs without giving you my balance. I can prove you the amount of data I have, or that I have some amount, without giving you more information about my address, also with zero knowledge proof. And used car sales, also when you sell a car, right, you want to know, when you buy a car which is used, you want to know that this car has passed some inspections, right, that is well maintained. Also, we could do the same here. If you have the repair history, you could prove to other people that your car has been well maintained without having to give the full history of your car. And that's it. Thank you very much.